y'all, and welcome back to the channel, our scripture studies through the Jewish lens. And this is the third installment about the life of the judge Gideon. If you missed the first two sections, I would encourage you to go back and watch them because they give you the backstory and what leads up to this battle that's going to happen today. We're diving into Judges chapter 7, where Gideon fights the Midianites with only 300 men. And trust me, this is a mind-blowing part of Gideon's story. There's a lot we can learn from it. So last time we saw that Gideon was called by God to lead Israel despite his doubts and feelings of inadequacy. Well, in chapter 7, Gideon is about to lead the army of Israel against the Midianites, but God gives him some pretty wild instructions. God does not just want to win this battle. He wants to make sure everyone knows it was he who did this. So let's jump in. Let's see what happened. So let us start at Judges chapter 7, verses 1, and we'll read through verse 7. Early the next day, Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, so he has two names, and all the troops with him encamped above in Harod, while the camp of Midian was in the plain to the north of him at Gibeath Moreh. The Lord, capital letters, said to Gideon, "You have too many troops with you for me to deliver Midian into their hands." Israel might claim for themselves the glory due to me, thinking, "Our own hand has brought us victory." Therefore, announce to the men, "Let anybody who is timid and fearful turn back, as a bird flies from Mount Gilead." Thereupon 22,000 of the troops turned back, and 10,000 remained. "There are still too many troops," the Lord said to Gideon. "Take them down to the water, and I will sift them for you there. Any one of whom I tell you, 'This one is to go with you, and that one shall go with you,' and any one of whom I tell you, 'This one shall not go with you,' that one shall not go." So he took the troops down to the water. Then the Lord said to Gideon, "Set apart all those who lap up the water with their tongues like dogs, from all those who get down on their knees to drink." Now those who lapped the water into their mouths by hand numbered 300. All the rest of the troops got down on their knees to drink. Then the Lord said to Gideon, "I will deliver you, and I will put Midian into your hands through the 300 lappers. Let the rest of the troops go home." Excuse me. So, Gideon is starting out with 32,000 men, already an underdog army, considering the Midianite army was much, much larger. But God says that there are too many men. And then he tells Gideon to send home anybody who's afraid. And that's 22,000 men gone. You'd think Gideon would be freaking out at this point, but God is not done. Then God tells Gideon, "Bring the remaining 10,000 men down to the water, where God tests them all by how they drink the water." Only 300 men drank in a specific way, lapping up the water like a dog. And those 300 men are the ones that God chooses for this battle. Out of 32,000, God reduces Gideon's army to 300. Why would God do that? If Gideon came into battle with this huge 32,000 member army, the army might have thought, we won this battle on our own efforts. But with just 300, there was no way that you could deny that God was the one who gave them this victory. God's strength is made perfect in our weaknesses. So what does this teach us then? First of all, it's not about the size of your army or the strength of your leader. It's about the power of God, plain and simple. When we feel weak and small, that's when God will show up the strongest. And through Scripture, throughout the whole Bible, God uses the least likely person and situations to display His glory. In our own lives, how many times do we try to control everything, thinking it's up to us? Only our might, only our efforts can get this done, can make this happen. But what if God really wants to work through our weakness? Another thing that stands out here is how God refines this army. He did not just want any person or any human to fight. He wanted the right people who were ready for battle in the way He wanted them ready to be. Maybe we can relate to being refined. Sometimes we go through situations where God is, here it says in the Scripture, He's sifting us. You know, He's making us finer and finer and finer for something bigger, something we don't see yet. So here's my challenge for you. How do we respond when God reduces our resources or when we feel like we don't have enough to do the job? Maybe you're facing a situation right now where you feel underprepared, like you're not enough. Maybe God is calling you to take that step of faith with fewer resources than you would like. That's exactly when God does His best work. When you feel outnumbered or overwhelmed, remember this: God's power is greater than any of your weaknesses or limitations. He doesn't need a big army to win His battles for Him. What He needs is just obedient and faithful warriors. This story of Gideon's 300 men is powerful. It reminds us that God doesn't need us and our abilities. He's more than enough on His own. So whatever battle you may be facing right now, remember God is with you. His presence was with Gideon. He said, I'm going to be with you, and He's going to fight by your side, right with you and for you. Powerful stuff. We just have to rely on Him and not try to do it all on our own. I hope that encouraged you. It always does me. I find it absolutely miraculous how God takes all those men and He puts them down into a very few. Make sure that you're subscribing to the channel so you'll hear the notifications when the next installment comes, so you don't miss it. Because we're going to be looking at about how Gideon's leadership and faith brought a victory. And I'd also love to hear what you have to say or think. How has God used small steps of faith in your life to bring about something really big that you could couldn't imagine was amazing. Let's talk about it. Thanks so much for watching this installment. See you next time. Remember, God's strength is greater than any challenge you face. Shalom, y'all. Bye.
קומי אורי, כי בא אורך, וכבוד אדוני עלייך זרח. קומי אורי, כי בא אורך, וכבוד אדוני עלייך זרח.